Yeah, so I haven't done one of these in a while and thought I'd get back into it. I haven't really been paying too much attention to the industry as a whole, so all I know is that right now all these next generation consoles that are out are uninspiring, and until I sit back and really take an assessment of the situation as a whole in a couple of months, I have no opinion. Um, so moving onwards from that, what I am going to talk about is just, I guess, what I've been up to technically and gaming wise. Gaming wise, haven't really been doing much. I have some footage captured for my Let's Plays of Fallout New Vegas, all Fallout 3. Although I will be capturing some New Vegas mod footage, probably within the next day or so to put up. This camera that I'm using is actually great in the 60 frame per second mode for doing any kind of footage on an LCD flat panel, so you don't get that ghosting refresh rate issue. Fooling around a lot with a Raspberry Pi. It's actually pretty fun. Um, Very customizable. This is not something that's meant for a novice to say, well, screw it, I can't afford a Retron 5, I'm going to get this thing. If you're somebody that's a self-modder, you do your own stuff, and you want to upgrade from that modded original Xbox that you have, this is a good idea. You're not going to need no much Linux coding. Um, Helps know terminal commands, not that hard. If you use DOS or any kind of command prompt stuff in Windows, then Linux command prompt is not hard. Some stuff's even worded similarly. I'm not going to go over it, but yeah, mine boots into its gaming menu mode, and you can flick around. And I made a couple scripts so you can I've shown it on the video, so you can boot into the desktop mode, and if you don't want to do that, you can boot into the XBMC mode. Now, I'm trying to figure out how to get XBMC to work with the Super Nintendo controllers. Once I'm in XBMC, I have to use the keyboard. Although there is a CEC file I can apparently do, because my television is a Samsung, and oh, moved out of frame a little bit. Um, it has CEC built in. XBMC picks up on the CEC, but I think I have to sit down and write a custom file, or I think somebody's written a file actually that follows the same Samsung layout. Actually, we'll jump cut right to that. Oh, one jump cut later. This remote here, they all have the same basic layout and impulse input functions and things, so you can use CEC to pretty much have the Pi plugged in and back and forth communication between the Pi and the television with the remote and the CEC through the HDMI, because the HDMI, anything over, I think it's HDMI 1.4 is CEC capable, which is anything that's like at least 5 years old, I'm pretty sure. But your remote, if your television has CEC function, is supposed to work with the Pi, although you're supposed to do some custom stuff. And I'm going to be going over that because I'm going to be getting into tutorials on the Raspberry Pi. For myself, it was a lot of trial and error and things, and using what resources I had available to me and what knowledge I had available to me. I want to try to make it a bit easier for other people so they can get into this to say, down the road, turn around and be able to use the Pi for other things, because you can just swap out your SD card and put in another SD card and install another operating system on it, and you can swap your cards then. But at least gateway yourself into the Raspberry Pi and use it for retro gaming through emulation, and as well for media playback. It's great. I have my Raspberry Pi in the following configuration. I have a Ethernet cable goes between my Raspberry Pi and the Windows computer I have in my entertainment center. I use that one mainly for gaming and for media playback. As I always say, I don't use it for any kind of heavy computing. That's what my Linux system behind me is for. It's just another console to me, as I always say. But I keep all my gaming things on there, including my ROMs. I have probably about 20, 30 gigs of ROMs between what I found on my own and what friends of mine have sent me over file transfers and that. But the easiest thing is when you set up the Raspberry Pi, which is one of the setup steps I'm going to show you for a lot of tips and tricks. And then as well, I'm going to show you how to set it up on your Windows end of your computer, which is like, I think, like 2-3 clicks you got to do. And you can use the Ethernet cable as basically a cheap sync cable. There's no program you'll need. It's just Samba, which is Windows Workgroups. So all I do is I have my Ethernet cable plugged into my laptop, and my laptop is providing my Raspberry Pi with very optimal internet, because the laptop has 802.11n as well as a gigabit Ethernet port, and we have fiber op, and our router is gigabit Ethernet and 802.11n capable. So it's actually faster for me just to have it hooked up there versus using one of my various Wi-Fi dongles to connect, and allows me to transfer back and forth. And all the media that I keep on the laptop as well is just fed there. So I just have the laptop there as the Pi server, and I have the laptop there as a game system. I can keep it powered on because it doesn't even use 100 watts, so it's great as like a little small distance server. And so yeah, that's how I have my Pi hooked up. Boots to the RetroPie's emulation station, so you can jump back and forth between panes in the menus for different systems. Or I've set up, as I've shown before, the application section, which has XBMC, and the Raspbian section, so you can boot into the Raspbian desktop. I'm going to be playing around with the Raspbian desktop bit and go to see if I can compile anything from source. Really interested in compiling a package under Raspbian of Minitube. Minitube's available on pretty much all desktop platforms, being Windows, Linux, and Mac. On Windows and Mac, it's free. On Windows, for the full version, you have to pay. In Linux and Mac, because they're so similar, the source code you can take and just compile it if you like. And depending on your distro, there are pre-made versions that you can just use your package manager or terminal and just install through apt-get or whatever distro you use. But I want to compile the Minitube app because it's very lightweight. I've ran it on comparable hardware that's around a Pentium 3, and it ran quite fine. And because the GPU is very capable, I could even run YouTube-ish high definition playing blah blah blah. If you don't want to be jumbling around with the Raspberry Pi and say XBMC, you can boot into the desktop, and the desktop will allow you to you can probably even have a script so the desktop can boot into specific applications, in this case Minitube, which I'm going to try to compile now. Depends on how well it compiles for the ARM11 processor in it, but that's going to be one project I'm going to try out, and if it does happen, I'm going to put it on here. Other things are, though, these videos that I'm going to be doing that are tutorials are actually going to be directed towards my Instructables account. As I said, I'm going to be cranking out daily videos, and I'm going to try to crank out about 2 to 3 Instructables a week. And the thing is, I can show the steps in video form as well as my written articles in the same article, and the video can be linked then into my Instructables and show it in practice as well as just the video version of the tutorial. So anybody who follows my fan page, anybody who follows my blogger will see I'll have the links put up for anything like that, and so as well be able to be accessible, and I can get out there and get more people. Pickup video is going to be done, and here's a little clue as to the pickup. Tell you what that is, and I give you a silver dollar. Not really a silver dollar, but one more thing I'm going to put out there right now. May have a little giveaway around 250 subs. And go through my subs. 3 gifts to be given out. They're not going to be a very high cash prize, and I'm not going to specify what they are. They're just a thank you, and I'm going to message that subscriber. Those 3 subscribers, I should say, the first, second, and third, but they're just really 3 random packages. And I'll get the mailing information, and I will do the pick here, and I'll probably do it actually in a live stream. Yeah, so not here in the live stream, but just a little thank you for everybody. This isn't going to be like giving away some fairly lucrative thing, thinking like a T-shirt or a hat or something like that. But we'll talk. But yeah, that's a lot of the plans I'm going to be doing now, and I'm making everybody dizzy by going back and forth and back and forth. I've been taking some time out with Chloe too, taking her for walks and that. The room, put up a room tour. I've tweaked it a little since the room tour. room is very efficient for my workspace, my living space, kind of in some ways, and my play space. I'm really liking it now. I'm going to try to maybe do some live streams of some retro gaming with the Pi, maybe with the Pi or with the system if it's available to me. There are actually quite a few retro systems in this house that are available to me, and games I can actually turn around and do a marathon of Earthbound if I wanted to with all original hardware, as there's even a copy of Earthbound in this house. And this house gets rare, weird, and obscure items all the time. I'm playing with one of those right now, actually, well, just adjusting it. But, yeah, so I'm going to have a pickups video after this one. After the pickups video, I'm going to sit down and go over a couple things. And, oh, as well, a friend of mine and I have been... That's really not a very nice sentence. A friend of mine has been talking to me, and we're thinking about doing a weekly cooking video. Show you how to do something nice and on the cheap. I don't want it to come off as you can cook this like J-Dub did, because that man, I really liked his work, and I don't want it to come off like I'm aping his work. A little bit of inspiration maybe, but I've been wanting to do cooking for the last couple of years for just a little something, show you something that's cheap, nice, filling, nutritional, pretty good nutrition-wise, low preparation. I do suggest if anybody's going to want to do these, I'm going to be doing a lot of wok-centric stuff, although you can do it in a frying pan, but if you have a wok, or you can get your hands on a wok for cheap, go get a wok. I'm going to be showing you some fun stuff. But, yeah, that's all I got for now, because I got other stuff to do, and just want to get to it. So I'll leave you with this, that this channel can only go up, up, up. And thanks a lot, guys, for me going up, 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 and helping me go up, up, up.